So when I was in New York, I mainly only played my Fender Strat, and I would see every now and again other Fender kind of instruments, maybe a Gibson, maybe a PRS, but largely I didn't see that many variances of guitar companies. Fast forward to moving to LA is basically moving to a guitar town, obviously, and I get to see, Fenders and Gibsons and PRSs again. However, I also get to see Sir, Tom Anderson, LSL, and Nash. The first time I ever saw a Nash, actually, it was like a sunburst maple neck Strat that looked a lot like my Eric Johnson, and it just sounded great, and it had a different kind of finish to it than all the other guitars that were, being played that night. And after the show, I went up to that guitarist, who would later be a friend, and be like, hey, tell me about this guitar. It sounded great. At that point, they were a little hard to find at a store and try out in person, but I got to play some here and there over the years. Fast forward to moving to Amsterdam and becoming a sort of tele fan for the last few years, and I was able to find myself a Nash on a recent trip back to the US. They cost considerably less in the US than they do here, so I had to jump at the opportunity to grab one. This one has a lot of the same specs as other Nashes. It's a 10-inch radius neck, a C profile neck. It's got the truss rod adjustment here, although if I take off the pickguard, I can use a little tool and adjust the truss rod without having to take the neck off, which is huge. It's much more convenient than having to take the neck off, obviously, although not as convenient as having the truss rod available here, but whatever, I can kind of live with that one. Over here, it looks pretty telly-ish. Over here, it looks like, hey, what is that? This is a Charlie Christian pickup, and it's kind of what set this guitar apart for me, and I was like, oh man, I'm super curious. Over the last 5 years, I've gotten more and more interested in solo guitar, and so I've become much more picky, or much more curious, really, not picky, about neck pickups. After seeing Tim Lerch with his 3 different Charlie Christian pickup telly, I was like, well, here's one. I can give one a shot. And I think it sounds phenomenal. So I want to demo it a little bit for you today by itself and then over a track. In my FM3, I have a preset set up with a super reverb. So it's kind of set up to have like kind of a thick, nice, not super bright bridge sound. And it just is a very nice jazz sound on the neck. However, if I roll the volume back, it like bluesifies, or just, it gets thinner. Which makes this actually a really versatile pickup in the sense that it can just do the jazz thing or the blues thing depending on where I put the volume at. In any case, let's take a look. also worth noting that I loved this neck pickup so much that I used this guitar exclusively for my solo EP, which you can find links to in the description. I think the more traditional jazz players usually prefer, you know, big arch tops, big hollow bodies or something like that. And I like playing those, but just from the history of my kinds of playing and the kinds of gigs I do and the kinds of things I listen to and all the different kinds of genres I play, this kind of instrument speaks to me. So being able to get a really nice jazz tone on the neck, to roll off the volume and get it a nice blues tone on the neck, and then like full-on country or rock or whatever on the bridge, this is a fantastic, you know, it almost feels like a custom instrument to what I want to do. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing, and also checking out that album. Any contribution helps.